This is an example of what not to do, but I'm going to show you two much better ways to smoke a cocktail at home. I'm Jason O'Brien, lead mixologist at Michelin 3-star Addison and Robb Report's resident cocktail columnist, and this is the Palo Santo. All right, so I've had 75 smoked cocktails in my life, and about 6 of them have been good. This is usually because they've smoked the entire cocktail. Now they do this because they either think it's the best way, or maybe they're doing it for the videos or something like that, but it is way too much. So we have a smoked cocktail here at Addison, and we're a fine dining restaurant, and I think of fine dining as a combination of boldness and refinement, which is what makes it kind of perfect for a subtle smoked cocktail. And even though you're probably not watching this from a fine dining restaurant, nonetheless, the way that we think about this could be helpful. So I'm gonna show you 2 great ways to smoke a cocktail at home. So I developed a smoked bourbon cocktail for Addison because everybody loves a smoky bourbon cocktail. And I thought the challenge of taking that boldness of the framework and making it into something fine dining, something mature and refined and subtle and nuanced, I thought that was an interesting challenge. And as nice as it looks on Instagram to have the whole cocktail under a cloche shrouded in smoke, it doesn't make a great final product. So instead of smoking the whole cocktail, I just smoke the syrup. This is cinnamon syrup. The way you make it is to take a cup of simple syrup, add 1 crushed cinnamon stick in a small pot, and simmer it on the stove for about 10 minutes. And so take the cinnamon syrup and smoke it with a tiny little smoking gun like this. You can get this for, I don't know, probably $15 on Amazon. And so you take some wood shavings, whatever kind of wood you want to smoke with, put them in this little bowl here. Turn on this fan, we'll suck the air down, and then you light it. Let the smoke infuse with the syrup for literally 10 seconds. And there you have it, smoked cinnamon syrup. You give it a small test to make sure it's where you want it to be. You want the smoke to be present, to be a factor, but not too intense. So if it's too faint, do it again. And if it's too intense, you can always cut it with a little bit of unsmoked syrup to balance it back out. This one's perfect. That's the advantage of this, is that you have so much control over the final product. But as you can tell, this is a lot of smoked cinnamon syrup. This would make about 120 drinks. And maybe you don't want to have 120 drinks, which is fine. This is what we do at the restaurant. But if you want to just make it for yourself, a la minute, each individual cocktail, there's still another way to do that, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. The first thing you're going to do is actually make the cocktail that you want. For this cocktail, we start with bourbon. And I'm starting with Buffalo Trace, which is one of my absolute favorite bourbons. It's become a little bit difficult to find of late. I think it seems to be loosening back up now. But if you can't get Buffalo Trace, what you want is a sweeter style of bourbon. And when I say sweeter, I mean more corn in the mash bill, which kind of highlights sweeter flavors. They don't add sugar to this, they're not allowed to. Another bourbon that would work would be the Woodford Reserve is on the sweeter style of bourbon as well. Michter's #1 bourbon as well. But if you can grab Buffalo Trace, this is a fabulous choice. And I'm going to start with 2 ounces of Buffalo Trace. This is how every great old-fashioned starts. Next, grabbing cinnamon syrup. So where a normal old-fashioned, say, would have a demerara syrup or a simple syrup, this is cinnamon syrup. This is unsmoked, but it is simple syrup that was simmered with cinnamon sticks, and it gives a warm spice to the cocktail. And we're gonna use just a 1/4 ounce of it. So if you were to smoke the whole syrup, it would only be a 1/4 ounce of the thing you smoked. Again, subtlety, elegance. Next, for a bit more spice, St. Elizabeth's Allspice Dram. This is a rum-based Jamaican allspice liqueur, sometimes called pimento dram. There's a few producers now. St. Elizabeth's is the one I've worked with forever, and it's the one I like the most. This is very, very potent. So we're gonna use literally 1/8 of an ounce at a time. What it's gonna do is complement the spice of the cinnamon. And finally, the Aztec chocolate bitters. So these are Fee Brothers chocolate bitters. There's a few producers of chocolate bitters. Bitterman's makes a mole chocolate bitters that's phenomenal. Scrappy's makes a good one. Angostora's in the game now. To be very honest, I kind of hate these. They don't work in almost any drink as well as its competitors, but in this particular drink, I tried all the others. This is indisputably the best. I don't know what to say about it. Cocktails work like that sometimes. Plus, it's only like $6 or $7 a bottle, so I don't mind having one around just for this. We're gonna grab 3 or 4 dashes out of it. Now, the smoke is still to come, but I'm gonna add ice and stir. I want the cocktail ready to go. Now we're gonna let that cook there for a second, and now is where we introduce the smoke. When I do this, a la minute, I like to smoke the glass itself. Glass won't hold the smoke really, but it's a way to get some smoke in there, but still have it be a subtle, delicate touch. So, what you could do is grab a board of the type of wood you want to smoke with. This is oak, and you could just burn a spot here and then put the glass upside down like so. But I am going to use Palo Santo wood. So Palo Santo, you would recognize this smell if you've ever been to a spa. This is a very soft wood and it's incredibly aromatic. It's got this really alluring ambrosial quality to it that when combined with cinnamon reminds me of this spice that they're always going on about in Dune. And anyway, I'm going to take a little piece of Palo Santo here and I'm going to smoke that with a torch like so. You put your glass over it, let the glass fill with smoke, and then you finish your drink. Let the smoke escape, and add your ice, and strain the cocktail into the smoked glass. For a garnish here, I like to use an orange peel. Grab yourself a good piece of orange peel. This is the outside of the orange. Aim the outside of the orange at the top of the glass, and give it a little squeeze. I'll express the orange oils across the glass. And speaking of elegance and minimalism, we're just gonna toss that and leave this ungarnished. This is the Palo Santo. Let's give it a try. It's perfect. The cinnamon and the allspice and the dry chocolate bitters form this spice profile that's just really satisfying and excellent. And the smoke is this layer underneath it, this subtle layer that just kind of infuses itself with everything. It is alluring and ambrosial. The difference between a subtly smoked cocktail and overly smoked cocktails, like the difference between freshly lit cigar smoke and a room in which a bunch of people have been smoking cigars. It's not just the quantity of it, it's the quality. It takes all the acridity out of the smoke. And when you have a subtle touch with the smoke, it just underlays all the flavors and gives it this incredible charm. I get it. Everybody loves the show. This way is very subtle. You miss out on the spectacular effect. But all I'm saying is, if you see a cloche filled with dense smoke and there's a cocktail in there, buyer beware. For more cocktail recipes, check it out on robbreport.com.